Greetings, everyone, and thank you for attending our Genesys 3100 Digital Autopilot Interface webinar with the Aspen Pro Max PFD. My name is Perry Coyne, and I'm the Director of Marketing Operations for Aspen Avionics. Corey Relling, International Sales Manager, and Mike Studley, Director of Field Service, are our hosts today from Aspen. Just a few housekeeping items before we get started. There will be a Q&A, or there actually is a Q&A icon in your Zoom client where we'll be answering questions in real time during the course of the webinar. We'll also go over those questions and answers at the end of the webinar so that others can benefit from some of the great questions we get in these webinars. We only ask that you use the Q&A icon feature in Zoom and not the chat icon feature in Zoom. It just makes it a lot easier to get to your questions more promptly. We will also be recording this webinar as well. Just send me an email and I will send you a link to the recorded playback. At this time, I'm happy to introduce Corey Relling. Take it away, Corey.
Thanks so much, Perry, and good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you might be in the world. As Perry stated, my name is Corey Relling. I'm the sales manager at Aspen Avionics, responsible for our sales outside of the US. So I would like to thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule today to join us. Just a little bit of background on myself. I'm a 25+ year veteran of the avionics industry. Started out way back in roughly 1995, I did a 11-12 year stint with the Bendix King division of Honeywell, which was at that time Allied Signal. Various roles within Bendix King, international inside sales, eventually outside international inside sales. Whenever I left Bendix King, I did 5 or 6 years at a company down in Euless, Texas called Aerodynamics, and we focused on night vision modifications for avionics to be used with night vision goggles. And I just in February celebrated my 10-year anniversary with Aspen. So glad you all again took time out of your schedule today. One thing I did want to note is that way back when I was at Bendix King, it did offer me the opportunity back in 1998 to earn my private pilot's license. And also Michael Studley, who is on the line, also recently earned his private pilot's license. The reason I mention that is because you can know that whenever you call or email Aspen Avionics, it's pilots talking to pilots. And that's important because, you know, we as pilots and Aspen Avionics sales managers, we live this on a daily basis. That's important to you because we may be able to, you know, bundle things together, suggest things that you may not have thought of that will ultimately save you money in the end. And that's the whole concept behind Aspen Avionics is, you know, we're a modular system. So you can start with a one display to begin with, and you can add a second or third multifunction display. And you don't have to spend all that money up front. It really is a building block system. So we can suggest the best solution that would meet your needs at this time and poise yourself for future growth. As I mentioned, I've got a couple of partners in crime here with me today. Michael Studley is our Director of Technical Support, Product Support at Aspen Avionics, and he is also our Northeastern Regional Sales Manager. So if you're up in the Northeast, Michael Studley is your guy. Another partner I have here with me today, I'm very fortunate to have Mr. Don Foster from Genesys Aerosystems with us. And Don is a regional sales manager for Genesys. When we're not in the COVID environment, Don has a similar role at Genesys as I have at Aspen Avionics, is that he focuses on the international sales side of the business. So as Perry stated, feel free to, through the Q&A icon, fire those questions away. That's why Michael's here to answer those. And again, this is a real-time webinar, so you're going to get real-time feedback. I would also like to welcome our replay viewers. As Perry mentioned, this has been being recorded and will be available for future viewing. But I'm going to imagine that we're probably, most of the questions that are out there, we're probably going to cover during this session. So I do not envision that any of the replay viewers will miss out on any of their questions. And again, after the webinar, if you have questions that you didn't, a lot of times whenever I hang up, I think of a question right away. Feel free to pick up the phone, call us, send us an email. That's why we're here. Aspen Avionics is a relatively small avionics company, which is good for you because when you pick up the phone or you send an email with a question, guess what? You get a live body on the other end of the phone, and you're not waiting around or not even receiving responses. So Aspen is a very nimble, fast responsive company. We want to work with you to get Aspen in your aircraft, whatever that takes. The agenda today, just kind of a top level agenda, is that I'm going to go over, this is actually, to back up a little bit, this is actually a number 3 in a series of 3 webinars leading up to the EAA AirVenture in Oshkosh at the end of this month. And the first 2 webinars, which you may or may not have had a chance to attend, on the MAX systems and the MAX upgrade or exchange. So in case you happen to miss those or did not have a chance to attend those webinars, I'm going to go through a very top level overview of the MAX systems because the MAX system is in fact required to have full advanced interface functionality with the Genesys 3100 Autopilot system. So we're going to begin with a brief overview of the MAX system. Then we're going to go into the actual interface. And this is all top level. We're going to go into the actual interface with the 3100 Autopilot. And then finally, I'm going, you as webinar attendees and also replay viewers, this applies to you also. The last couple of slides I have will probably be the ones that interest you the most because they are our webinar promotional pricing. And the discounts we are offering for attending the webinar or viewing the webinar after the fact are pretty enticing and are available until the end of this month, essentially leading up to and including Oshkosh. And I just noticed we have another member of Genesys on the line here. Al from their technical support department is on the line with us. And I think Don and Al being here are testament to how well not only Aspen and Genesys work together, but also that's Aspen's philosophy is we want to play ball with everybody out there. We want to make your life easier by interfacing to virtually everyone that is willing to interface to us and where it's technically feasible. So we work with other avionics manufacturers across the board with an open architecture system. Our engineering teams work together because we want to play with whatever might be in your aircraft. That is the core of Aspen's philosophy. Okay, so let's begin with the top level view of the MAX primary flight display and multifunction display familiarization. Here in this picture, you'll see our most substantial offering that we have, which is a 3 display solution. In the middle, you have the Aspen EFD 1000 Pro Max PFD. It gives you your attitude indicator. You have an airspeed indicator here to the left. You have an altimeter to the right. We have a data bar that cuts the middle of the screen, which gives you true airspeed, ground speed. We even give you a wind vector off the nose of the aircraft, and we calculate the wind direction and the wind speed. So a lot of useful information just right there in that one panel. And then down below, we give you what looks more like a traditional HSI navigation system. And then also right here, you see the minus 350 foot per minute, and then also the trend bar. That is your essentially your vertical speed indicator. So everything in this one display, which is essentially the size of 2 3¼ standard mechanical instruments, gives you essentially what is in a 6-pack, a traditional 6-pack. If you move to the right, we're depicting our MFD 1000 display system. And to back up, we also have synthetic vision turned on in the PFD here. You can see synthetic vision in the background. You have 3 synthetic vision views. You can have synthetic vision full screen. You can have synthetic vision on the top, but not on the bottom, or you can completely turn synthetic vision off, whatever your flying environment might be. Then back over to the MFD 1000 Max. You can see this is a true multifunctional display. Here we're showing a lot of the capability. We've got the terrain map here at the bottom. We do have a angle of attack unlock, which is available. That is also available on the PFD over here in a smaller format that looks really nice on the MFD. And by the way, we are the only angle of attack manufacturer on the market that is totally software based. Angle of attack, the way that we do it, is software derived. There's no cutting of the aircraft required. And then over here, you can see we depict if you have a traffic sensor, active traffic sensor, or ADS-B on your aircraft, we can display that traffic here. Now, on the left side, we have an MFD 500 display. The difference between the MFD 1000 and the MFD 500 is that the MFD 1000 has its own internal ADAHRS system, the same as the primary flight display does. And why that's essential is that if you push the red reversion button, we can independently back up everything that's on your primary flight display with the multifunction display. So now with the new Max series, and I'll go into a little bit more detail about this a few slides down the road, if you have an Evolution 2000 Max system installed, since the MFD 1000 can independently back up the primary flight display, we have certified the Evolution 2000 system, the PFD 1000 plus the MFD 1000 Max, where absolutely no standby instrumentation is required, which previously was not the case. You always had to have previously a standby attitude indicator. That is no longer required with a Max Evolution 2000 configuration. On the left side, I mentioned we have an MFD 500 Max. Performs essentially all of the same functions as the MFD 1000 Max, except to lower the cost of the multifunction display, we have removed the ADAHRS, the Air Data and Attitude Heading Reference System, from the display, lowering the cost. But then on the MFD 500, you do not get the reversion. That red reversion button is not active. So you cannot back up the PFD 1000 with an MFD 500, only with an MFD 1000. So you might say, what does the Max give me that the legacy display that I've had for 6, 8, 10 years doesn't give me? Well, keep in mind, Aspen first certified our legacy product line back in 2008. There's been a lot of technological advances since 2008. We did not want to change the form factor philosophy of the display, but we did want to modernize the display with the latest and greatest of technology. So what you get with the Max PFD and MFD exchange, if you have a legacy display, is number one, you get a brighter, clearer screen with much, much higher resolution display. We have put in all newly updated components, the main board, the processor, the ADAHRS, and the air data computer sensors are all completely brand new. Technology that did not exist back in 2008. Dual aided ADAHRS sounds fancy, but essentially what that is the way that we previously calculated attitude for our display systems was heavily, almost solely reliant on air data information from the pitot system. If that pitot system became clogged by a bug or iced over, guess what? We could no longer calculate attitude. So we had to red X the display. Now with the new software that's in the Max series, we aid that attitude calculation with GPS. Now when the pitot-static system becomes blocked or frozen over, we no longer have to red X the attitude indicator. We can go into a degraded attitude mode and still effectively calculate attitude. That is why you can now back up an MFD 1000, a PFD 1000 Max with an MFD 1000 Max with no requirement for standby instruments, so you choose to do so. We designed the Max series to be plug and play with the existing Pro wiring. So the display swap, the upgrade to a Max from a legacy system, if you're a current legacy system operator, is simply that. Pull the old display out, plug in the new display. Everything else that was interfaced on the aircraft still interfaces. Even all your aircraft parameters and all of your unlocks are still retained because those are not on the display. They are on the configuration module, which you're not changing. You're changing the display. We put a new internal backup battery into the display, which has longer increased life capacity. One other addition that you might need to do if you want, well, you will need to do if you want this capability, is the Max series adds audio panel connectivity. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in detail in the future slides. But essentially, previously on the legacy system, if you had some type of an alert, like maybe a synthetic vision alert is a good example, you would simply get a tone through a sound alert, a beep in the cockpit. Now you actually get audio callouts if you choose to wire the Max display to your audio panel. And that's essentially a very simple one wire from the Aspen display to the audio panel solution. Then we've also added, I mentioned we added the new processor for the Max series. The new processor is approximately 4 times more powerful and faster than the old processor. So not only does this allow existing functionalities such as synthetic vision to move a lot smoother, transition between screens is a lot faster, and your Max display is now poised for future growth for whatever options we may come out in the future. Any new unlocks that come out, any new technology that comes out, your Max display is ready to accept those. We talked about dual-aided AHRS, the fact that we aid the attitude calculation with GPS now. We also talked about the audio panel interface versus the traditional means of doing a sound alert. The audio panel interface will give you callouts for approaching altitude, minimums, leaving altitude, and SV alerts. So really increases cockpit situational awareness. With the Max series, you will get a new altitude intercept banana for climb and descent. So essentially when this banana is turned on, it will show you on the Aspen display where you're going to intersect your altitude for that given flight configuration, for that given flight attitude. So kind of a nice feature. You'll know, they tell you to hit 8,000 feet, such and such point. That banana is going to show you where you're going to hit 8,000 feet based on your current flight attitude. But we also had some feedback on legacy systems that we were putting a lot of information in a by design in a relatively smaller format display. So what we've done is any font that you activate. So if you push a button and activate a feature, it will now blow up into a larger font and will stay blown up, and then will automatically go back to its original size. So that blowing up of the font size, it catches your eye. Again, better situational awareness. Synthetic vision back in the day used to be a chargeable software upgrade. At one point, I believe it was a $2,000 software unlock. Now with the Max series, whether you purchase new or you exchange a legacy Aspen display to the Max series, you get synthetic vision included free of charge. Once again, I mentioned the new processor, much more power, smoother motion in the display overall. And again, I showed earlier the optional angle of attack and the weather and terrain unlocks are available. On the MFD side of the house, some of the features that the new Max series on the MFD gives you is METAR flags on the navigation map, height above ground level on navigation and terrain maps, and then chart and countdown timers. And I can go back here. This is what the chart and countdown timers look like on the MFD Max series. That's a new feature over the legacy systems. And then once again, very important point right here. ProMax PFD and an MFD 1000 Max, which is an Evolution 2000 Max system, eliminates the need for backups should you choose to do so. Okay, so touched on this a little bit earlier. The um, upgrade to the Max is essentially a slide-in replacement for your legacy display plus the additional wire to utilize the voice outputs. Here's one very, very nice feature. We don't care if your display is 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 years old. If you upgrade that display to a Max series, we give you a brand new 2-year warranty. So you restart the warranty on your system, even if it's a 10-year-old system. And the program is a trade to new. It's a true exchange program. We're not sending you a factory refurbished unit. We're not taking your unit and tearing it apart, putting new components in. We send you a brand new unit when you do the Max exchange program. Again, synthetic vision is included. And all the unlocks that were on your legacy system, angle of attack, synthetic vision, everything remains. You do not have to purchase again because all of those unlocks reside on the configuration module, not on the display itself. Okay, here's our retail trade to new pricing for existing legacy customers that wish to go up to the Max series. $54.95 for single display, $79.95 for a dual Aspen system, and $94.95 for a 3 display system. Now stand by because I've saved the best for last. The last couple of slides, we have some very, very enticing discounts available, as I previously mentioned, for webinar attendees, replayers of the webinar, and the pilot community in general in celebration of the EAA Oshkosh Air Venture. So let's move into what we're all here for today. The Genesys 3100 Advanced Interface. This is something we have been working proactively with our engineering and Genesys engineering on putting together. And this is a true, it's called the 3100 Advanced Interface. This interface between the Aspen Max series and the 31 Autopilot, I feel is truly extremely advanced. To get all of the advanced features, you will require a Max series display and a 3100 advanced features unlock card, which is essentially a micro SD unlock card that gets inserted into the front of the Aspen display here. And then you automatically get all of those enhanced functionalities that I'm about to speak to. One key point, an ACU is not required because this is a truly digital AirLink 429 interface. However, if you require an ACU for other analog interface, for example, maybe you have a KX155 analog nav radio interface. If you have an ACU for that interface, it has to go up to you have to go up to an ACU2 because you need a high-speed AirLink interface, which only the ACU2 provides. So existing customers that go up to a Max and want to do the 3100 advanced interface, if you have an ACU currently, you will have to go to an ACU2. There is a basic analog interface on legacy displays that's available now. So if you don't yet have a Max series or have not yet exchanged for the Max, you can do some basic integration with the 3100 Autopilot at this time and have been able to do for quite some time. But I think you'll see in the following slides why it's worthwhile to both go to the Max and the Genesys 3100 advanced interface. So software 2.11 is essentially our software, the Aspen software with the advanced Genesys 3100 feature unlock. So this slide here talks to the Pro Max version 2.11 without the software unlock. So if you have a Max but have not yet done the software unlock, you still get the following functionality. You get IAS hold, mode envelope protection, no external air data computer is required. All data for that functionality is supplied by the Aspen display. Since it is a truly digital interface between Aspen and Genesys, there is no external air data computer required for that functionality. And I had to educate myself a little bit on the envelope protection concept, but so I found there's a really good YouTube video out there that I gentleman in the partner about flying a twin Cessna, and he demonstrated in this YouTube video. I'm sure you could find it if you simple search. He demonstrated the envelope protection capability, and it is truly amazing. So the theory is that you could theoretically be flying the autopilot in vertical speed mode, and you could approach the stall speed of the aircraft inadvertently. Or you could also go into a dive and overspeed the aircraft inadvertently without even knowing that you're doing it. What the envelope protection does is the envelope protection senses both of those scenarios and will give you both verbal, oral alerts, and it will also pitch the nose over or pull the nose up when it senses that you're approaching the envelope, the flight envelope of your aircraft. Very, very good safety feature. I was truly amazed by the video that I watched. With the Pro Max, but without the unlock, you still get altitude and airspeed pre-select. Those targets you can set on the Aspen display. So airspeed here, you would activate airspeed here, or altitude here. That's where you would do your altitude pre-select. You would not get mode enunciations without the unlock. To get the mode enunciations, which you see here, and we'll talk a little bit in more detail about in a couple slides down the road, you would need the Aspen enhanced software unlock. Without the unlock, you would get no vertical speed selection, and flight director bars would only be enabled if an ACU2 and ST670 are installed. Again, without the unlock. We're only talking without the unlock. These are all the features that you get without the software unlock. And then I put a blurb down here from Genesys documentation, which kind of summarizes that. So you can read through that. So that's a Pro Max without the unlock. Let's talk about the Pro Max with the unlock. What does that give you? Well, what you do get here, again, you get the envelope protection, which you previously got before. Again, all data is supplied by the Aspen display. But now, with the advanced software unlock, you get flight command bars and the mode enunciations. So you're getting the full, true, advanced features of the integration between the Aspen Max display and the Genesys 3100. Once you do the 3100 unlock, to get flight command bars, you no longer need that ST670 box or an ACU2. All of that data is supplied via AirRink 429, which saves you a lot of dollars. If you want a good reference document, you can reference Genesys document SIL 21-008. You also get, as we previously stated, altitude, airspeed pre-selects, mode enunciations, and now you get vertical speed pre-select with the advanced unlock. A chargeable software unlock is required, as I previously mentioned. The price of the software unlock, it retails at $1,995. And once again, that is simply a micro SD card that is inserted right here into the front of the Aspen display. There may be some minor wiring change required. You know, every aircraft is different. Even if they're the same model, every aircraft is different. So please check with your installing agency for an accurate depiction of exactly what would be required to do the 3100 and the Max integration install. So what does it look like? Here's the new Genesys 3100 autopilot controller computer. You can see down the left side here, where you activate, you've got the autopilot, flight director, and yaw damper buttons. Then down across the bottom, you've got your mode buttons, your heading, your nav, approach mode, level. This is a very, very good safety feature here, the leveling feature. So especially if you're a VFR pilot and you're flying at night, or you inadvertently get into IMC conditions, you know, your inner ear is going to tell you you're doing one thing and your instruments may tell you you're doing another. Just go hands off, hit that level button. That'll put you, you know, back to straight and level, and regroup yourself, and then continue on and try and resolve the situation. Also, we have the indicated airspeed mode, vertical speed mode, and altitude hold buttons here on the Genesys Autopilot computer. Here's an excerpt I took out of the pilot guide, just to kind of give you a better idea of kind of where things are depicted on the Aspen display. And this picture here of the Aspen display is an actual Genesys 3100 advanced interface picture. So that's what you're going to see. You see we're in flight director, heading, and vertical speed mode. Over here, just a little bit more level of detail. Right here, item number 1 shows you your autopilot flight director mode. Position number 2 shows you your armed lateral mode. Position 3 shows you your active lateral mode. Position 4 here shows you your active vertical mode. Position 5 shows your armed vertical mode. In position 6 are your alert annunciations. Okay, so let's kind of summarize a little bit what's required here. You need a Max series display to get full advanced functionality with 2.11 software or higher. You need the Genesys Autopilot computer with software version 1.4. And you also need, this is a very important point, an update to the Genesys 3100 Autopilot STC is required for your specific aircraft model. I've been very impressed. Genesys have been very aggressive in updating these STC models, and they're updating them on a weekly basis. Here's a link down below where you can always check the current status of the update of the Genesys 3100 Autopilot STC to include the Aspen Advanced Interface. This slide here is the situation as it exists today with regards to the 3100 STC update. This is I say the latest and greatest because this is a fresh update. This was just updated, I believe, yesterday. So I'll give you a second here to take a look through some of the models that are very common models of aircraft that are complete. The bottom several, I don't know exactly, maybe bottom 3 or 4, we're in the latest round of completions. And then you'll see late July, hopefully around Oshkosh timeframe, we'll be making, or Genesys will be making announcements on those models of STC updates. And then mid-August for the following models, and that will just continue. So you can see that I've been very impressed with how aggressive Genesys has been with updating these STCs. There's really only a couple weeks in between each group of approvals. All right, so now to the important slides. I mentioned there are promotions, pretty aggressive promotions for webinar attendees today, for replay viewers, and also for the general flying public between now and the end of July, or essentially the end of Oshkosh. A legacy to Max upgrade right now typically is $54.95, as we previously mentioned. However, right now, until the end of July, you can get that exchange done for $29.95, almost half price. You can see down below if you're a dual display legacy system operator, you can get that exchanged for both displays done for a total of $54.95, which used to be $79.95. Again, this is only until the end of July. And then if you are a legacy customer operating a 3-display system, you can get all 3 displays exchanged for the Max for $69.95. Now that was for legacy Aspen customers who wish to upgrade to the Max. For customers not flying Aspen systems, but would like to add an Aspen system to their aircraft, we also have some very, very good discounts for you. A single display, this is very easy to follow. So a single Evolution 1000 Max Pro PFD gets a $1,000 discount, which gives you a price of $8,995. And then as you go down, an Evolution 1500 dual display, $1,500 discount brings the price down to $12,495. Evolution 2000 Max dual display system gives you a $2,000 discount at $13,995. And the Evolution 2500 Max 3-display system gives you a $2,500 discount, and you get a full 3-display glass cockpit solution for $17,995. Very easy to remember. 1,000 system, $1,000 discount, 2,000 system, $2,000 discount, and so on. So that's what I have for you today. I know there's been questions coming in, and I know Michael Studley has done a good job of answering those questions. Now what we can do is I'll bring in Michael Studley, Don Foster, and Al from Genesys, and maybe we can capture anything that, any quick Q&A that we have not captured throughout the presentation, or any new ones that you may have thought of throughout the Q&A session.
Thanks, Corey. Did a great job. I'll just dive right into the questions that I've got answered already. There were some questions about the warranty that you get with the Max upgrade. That just gets added on to any remaining warranty that you already have. So there's no loss there. It's basically, we add 2 years on top of whatever you have. Let's see, had a couple questions on AOA. You can add those to any of the screens. There is one specific corner case, I'd call it, where if you have a PFD and an MFD 500, which is the 500 is the one without its own internal AHRS, to activate AOA on that MFD 500, you actually need to activate it on the PFD as well. Just a note, we don't have a lot of those 1500 systems out there, and the ones that were out there, they're typically upgrading to 2000 Max now because of the benefits of not needing all the backup instruments. Questions about synthetic vision and different ways to configure it. You've got 3 different modes to show synthetic vision. I think Corey touched on it a little bit. Let's see. STC questions came in, and he answered that with that link to the Genesys website. Coincidentally, one of the customers who asked about the STCs, there was an STC in place for it, so that was a good sign. I have a question here, and Al, can you unmute? And you might be able to help me with this one. The question involved making, setting the bugs on the Aspen or setting the bugs on the 3100. My understanding is you can set it on either end, but if you make a change to the bug setting on the 3100, it doesn't update the bug on the Aspen. Do you know if that's true with all configurations, or is that just one? Al's still muted, so maybe he's unable to get on board here. Not certain on that answer, but if you send us, Jerry, if you send us an email, I can dig into that with Genesys offline and our engineers as well and get back to you with an answer. And then another question about the Max upgrade, adding the audio wiring for the or to the audio panel. Really depends on the aircraft. You know, it could be anywhere from a few hours to most of the day. It comes down to how accessible the back of the audio panel is. It's not a big job by any means. I saw a video on YouTube the other day, a shop in Florida did, and they YouTubed the whole thing, and it showed the whole process. It was I think it was a Bonanza or a Baron, and yeah, it was a Baron. And because the glare shield comes off the top of that, he basically just reached right over and he ran the wire, and it was done within, I would imagine, an hour or two. So that was, and those aircraft, it was going to be a lot less than some of the others. That's all we have for questions. Oh, wait, we get some new ones coming in. Sorry. Approximate pricing to purchase and install a 3100. I would leave that to either Don or Al. If you can unmute, you can take that. If they can't get online here, they're still muted. If they can't get in, then send in an email request. Al, are you with us? I think I hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Oh, I've been technological difficulties here, I guess. To answer the first question, as far as the bug settings, when you have the Mac system with that digital unlock, it will be bidirectional communication, meaning wherever you make the change will be recognized by the offside, right? So if you go down on the computer and you do something, the bug settings will change on the flight display, and if you're making your changes on the flight display, they're recognized obviously by the computer. That's going to be our only configuration, right? When you have that unlock, that makes it our most, obviously with the two companies working together, it makes it our most integrated kind of interface, right? Where everybody's talking to everybody, kind of thing.
Sure, that's great. That's great. So it's only the ones without the unlock that they would not have that bi-directional communication.
That's correct.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. And it's a questionable subject, but I'm going to throw it out there for you. Do you have pricing estimates to purchase and install a 3100? I'm sure it depends on the type of aircraft. Is there a ballpark price you can throw out?
Sure. Well, I think our basic. I'm going to be going off memory here, so this is far from quotation. A basic system, which is roll pitch and pitch trim in a general aviation aircraft, is list price at $20,000, and more advanced systems that automatically include a yaw damper, like if you have a King Air or Pilatus or something like that, then they kind of already come with yaw damper and some heavy duty servos and stuff. And the base price for an entire system at that level is, I think, roughly about $35,000 list. Okay,
great, thank you.
And of course, S-Tech does its step up as far as if there's existing S-Tech autopilots in the airplane, then everything gets discounted based on what remains, that kind of thing.
Okay.
So I'm impressed, Al, because you were spot on the pricing. We usually don't let our field tech engineers, quote pricing, but he was spot on. I think what he did touch on was the fact that there's a lot of existing legacy S-Tech autopilots out there, and for those aircraft that have an STC in them, the upgrade pricing to a 3100 is very, very attractive, and the feature benefits that they get out of the new 3100 digital autopilot coupled up with the Pro Max, hands down is probably one of the best solutions out there.
All right, great. All right, we'll go. Here's another question. Customer had installed a Max upgrade last spring and installed the 3100 in July. Most likely you do not have Max version 2.11, which is what you would need for the advanced interface. But the dealers can download, the Aspen dealers can download 2.11 right from our website, and they can load it. Takes 15-20 minutes to do that. And if they order the unlock in advance, they can have that waiting and take care of it for you while you wait, most likely.
Mike, I
Yep.
want to just be cautious there. When an existing Aspen installation going to the Max, upgrading to the Max software, hardware and software, whether they do the unlock or not, if depending on what kind of features they're getting, there may be like an additional jumper wire that has to be put in down at the 3100, or when it is an upgrade to the Max, you have to get some additional wiring from the 3100 to the Aspen EFD. So
Okay,
there will be
that's
some
great.
there'll be some install time involved in that.
All right, thanks very much, Al. I appreciate that. There's a question here about changing modes on the Aspen PFD. If you're asking anonymous attendee, if you're asking about changing the autopilot modes, that is done only on the 3100. We don't handle that part of it. Okay, we've got another one here. The Aspen cost to unlock the 3100 is that's $19.95, and there is no separate unlock price from Genesys for that. And let's see, follow-up question, Al and Don, for the pricing. Do the prices that you threw out there, does that include servos, etc.? So I would imagine like installation kits and things like that.
That if it's an upgrade, then they're using the existing servos in there, unless they're going from a single axis to a 2 or 3 axis system. There would be additional cost for the servos there. But if it's a new installation, yes, $20,000, $19,995 for a 2-axis system, $24,995 for a 3-axis system. Provides all the installation hardware, the servos, wiring. Well, the wiring harness is fabricated in the field, so that would have to be put into the estimate, the installation estimate coming from the dealer.
Okay, great. All right, another question came in. Audio enunciations between the Max and the 3100. I get both a female voice and a male voice. Okay, the male voice I think is on the Aspen end of things, and that's the only option. So that you could have a very interesting argument between the Max display and the 3100 in this case. But I don't know, is there an option to change on the 3100 to a male voice?
There probably is somewhere embedded in software, but not at the install level or something like that. So I'll say no. The voice that's being output is you got who you married to kind of thing.
Yep, that's the certified voice, right? Okay. All right. Well, it looks like we've got all the questions wrapped up here. Thank you, Al and Don, very much for the assist on those. And thanks.
Sorry for the initial confusion.
Yeah, no problem. You made it. That's all that matters.
All right, everyone out there in the audience, I'd like to thank you for your time, and hopefully this was beneficial for you. I'd also like to thank Michael for his technical support and answering the questions real time, and also Don and Al for joining us today. That was very, very helpful. And again, if you have, that's what we're here for. If you have any questions or need any information, that's what we're here for. Please do reach out and contact us. Hey, Al, do you want to give your contact details, or Don, do you want to give verbally your contact details in case anybody needs to reach you?
I'll just go with support@genesys-aerosystems.com.
Okay.
Yeah, and mine's just don.foster@genesysaerosystems.com. Easiest is probably just go to our website, and all of the contact information is located there.
Sounds good. Well, thank you again, everybody in the audience. Appreciate your participation. Hopefully you got a lot out of this. And as we start getting out there in the, hopefully the post-COVID environment, as more air shows and trade shows start happening, hopefully we'll have the pleasure of meeting some of you in person. So with that, I'll say thank you, and we'll conclude our webinar for today.
Hey, Corey, this is Perry. I want to remind folks, if you're going to be attending Oshkosh this year, we will have, and so will Genesys, have a demonstration unit with the 3100 interface in each one of our respective booths. So we are in Hangar B, and is okay, I guess Al and Don, not quite sure where you are on the field, but maybe you can give where your booth location is as well.
Oh, Al, do you know? I think he may have hung up.
No,
I don't have.
I'm not aware. I have no
Okay.
idea where we'll be.
All right, you know,
Yeah, we're
it's
just-
easy, yeah, we can figure it out, but there will be demonstration equipment within our booth and at Genesys booth at EAA Oshkosh, and we hope you're able to make it out there this year. That's all I've got. And I thank you, everybody, for attending. And again, this webinar has been recorded, and just shoot me a quick email. I'm sure you've gotten reminders from my email address. If you want a link to the recording, I'll have that later on this afternoon. Have a great day, everybody.